Hi, I'm Jeff Brown, Operations Agronomist at the North Central Research Station. In this video, we'll cover growth stages of some different row crops and why it's important to know your growth stages of your crops to make proper management decisions. We're standing here today in a winter wheat field at the NCRS, and we'll do some growth staging out here. We'll primarily focus on 3 different growth stages: Feekes 6, which is jointing, Feekes 7, and Feekes 8, and how those can factor into our management decisions for our wheat crop. Okay, so we've pulled some samples of some wheat from some various locations at the NCRS, and what we'll do first is we'll do a tiller count and see what we have for tillering. This was later planted wheat, and this is all one plant, but we can see we have a few tillers emerging. I believe we have the main stem, 1, 2, 3 tillers, and we even have some smaller tillers down here that probably won't amount to anything as far as yield is actually concerned. But what we'll do to stage this wheat is we'll find the main stem and we'll feel along the main stem for a node, and I actually can feel a node right here. It's just a little bump in the stem, and that tells me that this particular wheat is at growth stage Feekes 6, and that's where we first see a node develop. And we actually have our developing head in the stem here. You could feel it if you were to run your fingers. You could peel this leaf away for a better feel, but you can actually feel the head inside the stem here. All right, so here we have an example of the next growth stage, and that's Feekes 7. So again, we'll try to locate the main stem, and we can peel some leaves back to get a better idea of what we're dealing with here. And again, as we look at this stem, we have a node here, but we also have another node that's developed down here towards the base. And so this puts us at Feekes 7 when we have 2 visible nodes. This is an important growth stage to determine, because as we go into the next growth stage, Feekes 8, that's a very important growth stage as far as crop protectants. And a lot of times at Feekes 6 or 7 is the last time that we can use some of our herbicide products and other products and be on label. So it's important to get crop protectants on and nitrogen on by this growth stage, because as we enter Feekes 8, it's a time of rapid water and nutrient uptake as we continue stem elongation and go into heading. All right, lastly, we'll look at Feekes 8 growth stage, and we can determine that again by when we have 2 nodes on the main stem. Again, we can feel the developing head in the stem, and now we can see the flag leaf start to emerge. It'll still be rolled up at this growth stage, but yeah, we can see the flag leaf start to emerge. And as I talked about in the previous growth stage, it's important when the flag leaf emerges, it's an important time for water availability, nutrient availability. So we want our N on by then and anything else we need. But it's also important to protect it with fungicides, because 50% of our photosynthetic activity of the wheat plant is going to take place in the flag leaf once it emerges. So it's important to protect it, and it's important to maximize yield by focusing on the flag leaf and keeping the plant healthy at that stage. It's a great time for foliar fungicides and foliar fertilizers to be applied. Okay. So now we'll talk about a couple other crops that we just recently planted. We have corn and soybeans. Both of these were planted about 3 weeks ago. Got off to a little bit of a late start here because we did have a little bit of a cold snap after planting, so it took a little while to get out of the ground. But we'll talk about the growth stages of both, the early growth stages, and some of the important ones that we'll hit on for management. We'll start with soybeans. Get in a little closer here. So here we have a soybean plant. Like I said, it's been out of the ground for about 2 weeks now, and we are at growth stage VC with this. And what that means is that we have 2 unifoliates that are completely emerged and unrolled, and these are the unifoliates here. Before that, we would have had the cotyledons, which come out as the plant emerges. And as we go through the vegetative growth stages, what we key in on with soybeans is trifoliates, and that's how we'll count growth stages from here on. And you can actually see in this young plant, we have the first trifoliate starting to emerge. We wouldn't count it not fully emerged and unrolled, but that is where from here we would count our growth stages. So when this trifoliate is completely emerged and unrolled, that would be V1, and as subsequent trifoliates come out, we would be at V2, V3, so on and so forth. And the number of trifoliates really depends on the variety of soybean and some environmental factors. So there's not necessarily a set number of trifoliates or V stages that you're going to have, but there's other factors involved in that. Once we get to the reproductive stages, that's when we start seeing flowers on the plant. And R1 is the beginning of flowering. That's an important growth stage because you want to have a lot of your weed management done by then. So certain products shouldn't really be applied after flowering because it can damage flowers. That's also a good time to look at fungicide applications and foliar fertilizer applications. So we've done some at R1, R2, R3, fungicide and foliar fertilizer, and have had really good results with that. So that is soybean growth stages. So now we'll look at growth staging young corn plant. So this was planted about 3.5 weeks ago, and what we have here, we're in V3, and we'll show you how to get there. So when we start to stage the young corn plant, we would look for this first rounded leaf, and that's number 1, and we would count up from there and looking for visible developed collars on leaves. So that's 1. This would be leaf number 2 with a visible collar. This would be leaf 3 with another visible collar. And here we would have leaf 4, but we don't quite see a visible collar yet. It hasn't quite developed. So we would stage this at V3, heading into V4, really close to V4. That's an important growth stage for weed management. We want to make sure that any weed pressure is taken care of by this growth stage. We can get some yield loss if that isn't the case. When we head into V5, that's a popular side dress timing on corn. It's important to have some nutrients out there, primarily the bulk of your N, because as we head through V6, V7, we'll see rapid growth and nutrient uptake. Those are some important growth stages as far as ear development. Kernel rows around on the ear is developed heading from V6 into V7. And one thing, as you stage older plants, as this plant matures, these bottom leaves will eventually fall off. They won't be visible anymore. So to stage from taller corn on, we would actually have to split the stem. And we have an example of this in the picture. And we would look for the first elongated node at the base of the stem, and that would be V5. And from there we would subsequently count, like we did before, collared leaves heading up the plant starting at V5. And that's how we would stage up until we got to VT, which is when the tassel emerges, and R1 when we have ear development, we have silks. And those are important growth stages as far as protecting the tassel, protecting the ear leaf and the silks. Here we've struggled the last couple years with tar spot, and that VT R1 timing for fungicide and foliar nutrients has been a major management tool for us. For more information about crop growth stages, contact your local AgroLiquid rep or go to agroliquid.com. Thanks for watching.